Hey, everybody. I'm Dr. Seth, psychologist. Today's topic is it's clinically what I would call a doozy. This one is a doozy. And let me explain why. We're going to be talking a little bit about kind of emotional issues, a person's kind of emotional problems or struggles that they're dealing with, how a lot of times those can come out at work, in the workplace, in your job, in working with other people. This is no doubt one of the most common problems that people deal with in their daily life. And also, situations that come up at work are also one of the biggest sources of unhappiness for people, one of the biggest sources of stress. So, I want to talk about that a little bit today and hopefully share some tips that could be helpful. Now, the reason that it's important in the big picture, why does it really matter? If a person finds themselves getting too angry at work, if as a pattern they have noticed themselves dealing with anger that's coming up at work or other big emotional feelings, just feeling too emotional, all of these feelings can be a problem at work because a person who has anger and negative feelings, they can end up having this fill in the blank. They can end up having this more with other people at work. And the answer is conflicts. People who are dealing with anger, people who are dealing with intense frustration in the work environment, they are more likely to end up having conflicts with others they work with. And in addition to kind of the negative consequences that causes immediately, it makes a person upset. Sometimes they find themselves taking their kind of work home with them emotionally and stewing or obsessing about something, feeling frustrated. We've all probably had that situation where we just feel like we're at home at night and kind of can't let something go. Or worse, the weekend gets spoiled, partly because you're still upset about things at work. Well, one of the reasons why this is a problem, not just in the now, in the immediate picture when that happens, but because it can also negatively impact your overall career. If a person finds themselves having too many conflicts in the work environment at work, well, people will notice. And one of the risks is there may be people who start to identify that person as difficult or somebody who maybe brings too much emotion into the workplace. And really, what belongs at work, I believe, as a psychologist, is work. I believe that it is so important for people to learn to be able to set aside some of the emotions that they're dealing with, personal issues maybe that are coming up at home, to learn to be able to set those aside so that when you're at work, you can just focus on work and emotional stuff doesn't get in the way. So, if as a pattern, people start finding themselves having too much anger in the workplace, it can actually prevent you from getting promotions. It can derail your career. Maybe you want a promotion. Maybe you would like to be a manager or you see yourself as a leader. Maybe you would like to get out of the position that you're in and advance yourself with the organization or company you work with. Maybe you want to have really good recommendations, personal letters of recommendation that you could use and take with you to go to another job. So that's all very normal. But the thing is, if a person lets anger get the best of them to the point where they find themselves having too many conflicts at work with others, they find themselves just getting too frustrated and kind of losing it in the moment, losing their temper in the moment, or just showing extreme exasperation. You don't want emotional issues to hold you back in your career. You don't want any kind of personal emotional issues at work to prevent you from having the career that you really want. And yet it happens every single day. Now, People who find themselves advancing in their careers, people who tend to get promoted, not only do they tend to do a very good, competent job in their work, but a lot of times, one of the things that they are good at is handling their own mood, handling their frustration. Clinically, we call that frustration tolerance. So hopefully, a good manager, people who keep getting promoted and going higher and higher and higher up, they are good. They have good frustration tolerance. They can tolerate moments where someone or something frustrates them without losing their temper, without showing that they're frustrated and angry and maybe snapping at somebody or making a impulsive decision that might be a bad one that maybe they have to undo later. So here's the thing, the goal at work is to be balanced and to maintain a positive attitude. And on the days when you can't feel positive, the goal then is the next best goal, which is to be neutral. But I don't really believe that showing frustration or anger at work as a pattern in any way is healthy, and it's certainly not good for people's career. So, one of the things that I want to ask you, you watching, is have you found yourself ever in the past or maybe now, have you felt like there are moments where you're just not your best self at work? Where something, maybe you're working on tasks or you're in a meeting with your team and you find yourself getting frustrated and you find yourself that mood is showing to others and other people can see it. Have you gotten to the point where you feel like there are times where you just want to walk out? Have you also gotten to moments at work where you feel like maybe the frustration that you feel emotionally or the anger that you feel in situations that it maybe shows on your face or in your body language? You know, when people get really frustrated or angry, a lot of times it shows in the posture, in their body language. You know, they feel sort of clenched fists. Maybe their expression, their brows are furrowed, and maybe they look stern and angry. All of those things can make other people in a work environment feel uncomfortable. And nobody wants to feel uncomfortable at work. I truly believe all most people really want to do at work is do their job and then go home so they can enjoy the rest of their life. So if you say yes to any of those questions, that you feel like there are times where you're losing it or you're losing your temper and others can see how frustrated you are, it's a sign that it might be time to try some new coping techniques to deal with it. And I want to share just a few in this video. I'm going to share three specific things. The first one is something called cognitive reappraisal. Now, there are a couple of evidence-based techniques that are known to really help people deal with anger when they feel really angry and escalated in a moment. And one of them is cognitive reappraisal. So, in the moment where you're at work and something has happened and you are convinced you know what happened, maybe you feel like somebody deliberately did something that was disrespectful to you. Maybe you feel like somebody blocked you or interfered with your work on a project. Maybe you feel like somebody humiliated you or upset you in some other way. It could be any number of things where you feel so angry in that work environment. One of the things that you can do is you can reappraise mentally. Do a reappraisal. Ask yourself, what are you telling yourself? One example, let's just imagine a situation where you feel like somebody didn't give you information that you needed at work to do your project. And you told yourself, maybe you're telling yourself that they don't think that you needed to know. Or maybe you tell yourself that they didn't think you were important enough to include, to tell. You can cognitively, mentally reappraise what you're telling yourself. And one of the things that you can do is tell yourself something that's different. Tell yourself something like this: I think they didn't tell me. Scratch that. I believe they didn't tell me because they're probably really stressed about something that I'm not even aware of. They are probably really stressed about something that I simply am not aware of. Do you see how You can tell yourself that, and how that can simply take the edge off and make you feel like it is less personal, make you feel so much less frustrated. So, the next time you get really angry at work, when we're in those moments, we often feel like we know, we are sure, exactly sure what happened. Are we? Are we really, really sure? Do we know for sure with 100% certainty? No. But the point is, we feel like we know. And that is exactly what you want to sort of chisel away at, that sense of knowing, by reappraising it and telling yourself something different, something that will make you feel better in that situation. Why that person, for example, did that to you. Okay, that's one, cognitive reappraisal. Now, another evidence based technique to deal with is a very, very simple one, and it's totally intuitive. It makes total common sense, and that is a break. When you find yourself in a really angry or frustrated situation at work, if you're not careful, it can kind of ooze out from you and others can notice it. So, taking a pause from that situation, asking if you need permission, ask for permission, or if not, remove yourself from the environment for, let's say, 20 minutes and take a break if you can do that without any consequence. And maybe go for a walk, look up at the sky, take some deep breaths, notice what's around you. Look, really notice what's around you. Do some grounding techniques when you're on that walk around the block. Like, notice not just what you're looking at, but notice the color of things. Think about what sounds you might be hearing. Really listen for them. Now, when you're doing things like this, do you realize what you're also doing? You are training your brain in the moment to focus on different things, because if we focus on just what's making us angry, we keep regurgitating that same script. All it does is intensify that anger and frustration even more. Okay. So those are a couple of techniques. Now, next, the third one is, well, I think, the wildest technique possible. It's wild in the sense of, I don't understand exactly psychologically why it works, but it does. And we need to thank dialectical behavior therapy and Marsha Linehan in particular for this. I have so much respect for Dr. Marsha Linehan, who developed dialectical behavior therapy, or DBT for short. And this little technique is called willing hands. Now, you can do it right now as you're listening. I'm going to roll up my sleeves here and do it myself. Okay, when you're really angry, the next time you're angry, just try this. It is remarkable and almost feels like magic how it works. Okay, you're angry, put your hands on your lap. Okay, now probably what you've done when you've put your hands on your lap is you have put your palms, sort of rested them on your legs. Okay, now instead, turn your palms over. Turn your palms over so that they are facing up, and just loosely relax them on your leg. Okay. You've got your palms up, and all you're doing is taking a few breaths with your palms up, okay? And you can even practice, if you want, when you do this, with a sort of very slight smile like this. Okay, hold that for a few seconds. Okay, while I'm talking, your palms are up, and you've got maybe a slight smile on your face, and you're breathing. What's so interesting about this technique, okay, and you can stop now, is that it feels almost impossible to feel angry, to feel really angry and frustrated and escalated for some reason when your palms are face up like that and you're in that position. And what's so interesting is I've heard Dr. Marsha Linehan talk about it, and she has actually said herself, she herself has been surprised by the research about how effective this technique is. And if you try it, you too might find that it is remarkably successful. If you can hold that position for a minute, it's just another technique that you can use. And I do think part of why it might be successful, though I can't understand it fully, is when you think about when you're angry, think about angry and the word clenched. A lot of times, maybe your fists are clenched, your jaw is sort of locked, and your body is constricted and tight. Well, by putting your hands on your lap and flipping your palms face up, this is a sign, a symbol of openness. Your palms face up like that. They are a sign of being open and willing. Open and willing in that situation instead of angry and focused on what or who wronged you. The goal is to get to that place of feeling more open and willing. And that's why Dr. Linehan calls it willing hands. All right, these are a few techniques that you can use at work. Really, really, really please think about what I've talked about in this video the next time you feel angry at work, when you feel yourself getting clenched like that, again, getting constricted, because I believe you should be happy at work, or at least happier. And I believe also that the future of your career deserves to be good, that you deserve advancement and promotion. And to do it, we all need balanced mood. All right, everybody. I hope that a few of these techniques have been helpful for you. I also hope that you can find some other videos on my different playlists here on different topics on my YouTube channel, Dr. Seth Psychologist. I'll see you next time, everybody.